Hey there, RosterWatch Nation. It's your friendly neighbor Trashman. Um, Here today to talk to you about, my most recent Dynasty rankings update. Actually, it's the first of the, at least fantasy offseason for most of us. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First off, we have Chase Brown of the Bengals, age 23, is rising from 235 to 130. Not our biggest mover this week or best. Brown's fantasy outlook was prematurely maligned due to a lackluster Senior Bowl in 2023. He wasn't really able to secure a lot of the passes he was thrown, and it was just like a lot of frenetic energy, as a downhill runner. He wasn't patient. But maybe you can chalk it up to nerves, because Brown this season, in actuality, has been more closely resembled the shifty playmaker that we came to know and love on his, impressive college tape. He logged over 50 yards in 3 of his 5 appearances this season. And as the team, tanks, this weekend, perhaps he gets even more touches this week. But in the future, so Joe Mixon, he failed to reach 100 yards, at least on the ground, in any of his games this season. It looks like maybe he's starting to lose a step. Doesn't seem that way for Brown. Brown is primed to gain ground in this offseason in the Bengals offense, in one of the league's best offenses whenever Joe Burrow is on the field. So it looks like Chase's arrow is pointing up in fantasy as, the second back at worst in Cincinnati going into 2024, and a really great, potentially big playmaking pass catching back for the Bengals. After Brown, we have Jordan Love of the Packers, age 25. He's also rising 171 all the way up to 66. I've kind of been sleeping on him this season. But Love has kept the Packers relevant in fantasy and otherwise with his big arm and really unflappable on-field personality. He doesn't get shaken even, when he's playing badly. He's always able to come back, it seems. And he's not quite Aaron Rodgers, but neither is Aaron Rodgers at this point. Surprisingly, Love is the number 5 quarterback in fantasy this season, kind of out of nowhere. I didn't see that coming. Responsible for over 4,000 all-purpose yards and 34 touchdowns, with kind of a shaky receiving core that wasn't healthy really all season. I'm kind of champing at the bit to see what he can do with a healthy and more experienced receiving core. That receiving core, not only was it not really healthy all the season, they were young, a lot of rookies. In 2024, these guys are going to, have a year more of experience under their belt, and, hopefully more healthier coming into the upcoming season. So Love's arrow is pointing way up in my book. He deserved a bump. Another guy deserved the bump was Devin Singletary, the Texans, age 26. He was rising as well from 154 to 132, a little bit more modest of a bump. But, Singletary is like a cat. He landed on his feet in Houston, taking the starting role for the Texans, not by force, but by necessity, really, as Dameon Pierce just could not seem to suss out this pass-heavy offense for the Texans. Pierce is working his way back to fantasy relevance, but Singletary, maintains a firm grip on the top spot for now, and what is quickly becoming one of the league's best offenses with CJ Stroud under center. He's still relatively young at 26. You think about Singletary, and it seems like he's been in the league for a long time. And he'll certainly grab the hearts of many a zero running back adherent in 2024, should the Texans not decide to add a back in the draft. So these are some of my biggest movers this week in the Dynasty rankings. There'll be a lot more movers, a lot more shakers in the ensuing weeks and months before the next fantasy season starts. So stay tuned, RosterWatch Nation. And until next time, be ready.